Hi everyone! Welcome back to my channel. It's me, Emigrace, and I'm a homeschooling mom of 3, and in this channel, I make homeschooling, motherhood, homemaking, and lifestyle videos. And if you're new to this channel, welcome to this graceful community. We would love you to be part of this community, so please consider subscribing. And welcome also to this homeschooling series. So yan, meron akong ginawang 2 videos in the past or last week. And I hope na napanood nyo na yun. If not, I'm gonna put the links of those videos down in the description box para mapanood nyo din. And yun, yung homeschooling series natin, ay actually share ko lang talaga sa inyo lahat ng mga learnings, experiences namin, past mistakes and struggles namin when it comes to our homeschooling journey. Ito din actually yung reason kung bakit nagkaroon ng Graceful Homeschooling na YouTube channels, because I really wanted to share my heart out about our homeschooling journey. When I started homeschooling, grabe lang, lahat yata ng mga resources na available out there ay nabasa ko na. Tinignan ko na siya talaga, whether ito ay blog posts or YouTube videos or vlogs about homeschooling, books, whether it's e-books or mga physical books, nabasa ko na din sila because nakakatakot kasi talaga yung pag-homeschool. Parang sobrang unfamiliar kasi ko when it comes to homeschooling, kaya yun yung ginawa ko. So now, I've listed 5 homeschooling tips for you to get started with homeschooling, and ang hope ko ay makatulong ito sa inyo whether you are considering to homeschool your kids this school year or this coming school year, or matagal na kayong nag-homeschool, so sana makatulong din ito at maka-inspire din sa inyo. So yan, so I've listed 5 homeschooling tips for you to get started. So let's start with number 1. So tip number 1 is that homeschooling is not a school at home. So nakwento ko na to sa inyo last time na yung thinking ko before ay kailangan kong kopyahin kung ano yung meron sa regular classroom setup. And yun yung thinking ko na kung meron blackboard, merong tables and chairs na pangbata, may bookshelves, books, lahat ng mga learning materials, lahat ng mga props, ano pa ba, lahat ng mga tools and equipment na meron yung regular classroom setup ay kakopyahin ko din dito sa bahay. But it's not actually like that. Homeschooling is not a school at home because you can actually go outside and then do nature walks, field trips, tapos some activities na pwede nyo din gawin outside. So homeschooling is not just a school at home, but it's also life schooling. So yung tip number 2 ay related siya with tip number 1. So when you have that thinking na yung homeschooling is a school at home, meron tendency na mag-overplan ka. So yung tip number 2 is do not overplan. So yes, scary yung pag-homeschool, especially yung homeschooling the first time, no? Pero it also comes with so much excitement talaga. Na parang sobrang excited mong gawin yung homeschool, na gusto mong bilhin lahat ng mga school supplies na gusto mong bilhin. Tapos gusto mong bilhin lahat ng mga learning materials, curriculum or curricula, tapos mga tools and equipment, and then you would end up buying stuff that you don't actually, o yung hindi mo siya gagamitin sa pag-homeschool nyo because nag-overplan ka, nag-overthinking ka na kailangan mo to, kailangan mo yun, pero actually hindi talaga na plano kung ano talaga yung mga kailangan nyo for a particular homeschool year. So I would suggest that you sit down and then list down mo lang lahat ng mga gusto mo, kahit kailangan, whether kailangan mo to or hindi. So i-list down mo lang lahat, as in lahat, ilista mo lang lahat ng mga naiisip mo na gusto mo meron sa classroom or sa homeschool nyo. And then, pag-set ka na ng isang araw to eliminate naman things that you don't really need for your homeschool. So, that's my suggestion, and that's our tip number 2, do not overplan. So for our tip number 3 is that homeschooling is not an isolation. So there is this saying that you need a village to raise a child. And I believe in that, na kailangan talaga natin ng village to raise our kids. Itong saying na yon, yung you need a village to raise a kid, hindi lang siya applicable into homeschooling but also into parenting. Sobrang totoo to that you need a village or you need a support group na talagang mag-encourage sa'yo to do things, lalo na pagka nandun ka na sa point of giving up yung homeschooling. Pagka meron kang support group, dun ka ma-encourage. Sobrang gustong-gusto ko din yon na sumasama talaga sa mga support groups. Tapos, nagkukuntuhan lang kami ng mga struggles namin, mga successes namin with our homeschooling journey. I get to encourage also someone or encourage parents then. And sabi nga diba sa Bible that he who refreshes others will himself be refreshed. And totoong-totoo yon that when you encourage someone, you feel so refreshed inside because you get to encourage someone. So yan, tip number 3 is that homeschooling is not an isolation. So you need a village to raise your kid. And so if you're looking for groups, ang dami-daming mga homeschooling groups sa Facebook, social media, ang daming mga blog posts about the homeschooling groups. And maglilink ako ng ilang mga homeschooling groups down in the description box. So, kung malapit yun sa inyo, please join kayo dun sa mga groups na to. Sobrang makakatulong yun sa inyo. Dahil nakatulong din sa akin talaga ng sobra-sobra yung mga grupo na to. So, yan. So, that's number 3. Homeschooling is not an isolation. So tip number 4 is to decide whether you do homeschooling independently or with a homeschool provider. So dalawang options yon. So pwede mo siyang gawin independently or with a homeschool provider. So mag-search ka lang din, magtanong-tanong ka lang din doon sa mga homeschooling families na gumagawa independently. Tapos doon sa mga families with a homeschool provider. So makita mo yon, mag-weigh in ka lang ng mga pros and cons. Makikita mo kung ano talaga yung mag-fit para sa iyong family. Pero basically, yung doing it independently ay ito yung you have all the freedom to do kung ano yung mga gusto nyong gawin talaga with your homeschool. Lahat ng mga activities, you get to decide kung ano yung curricula or curriculum na gagamitin nyo. At ano pa ba, yung schedule nyo, lahat talaga, you have all the freedom to do it independently. While, pagka naman nag-homeschool ka with a homeschool provider, syempre, you have to follow certain, parang, course study, and then, syempre, meron din yung mga deadlines, no? Yung deadlines, kasi meron kang first quarter exam, second quarter exam, third and fourth quarter examinations. Tapos may mga performance tasks na kailangan mo din gawin with a particular period of time lang. So, yun with the homeschool provider. Pero what's nice naman about doing it with a homeschool provider is that if you are new to homeschooling, mag-guide ka talaga kung ano yung mga kailangan mong gawin the first time, mga initial na kailangan mong gawin sa pag-homeschool. Yan. Tapos, whether you do it then with a homeschool provider, you have the freedom din naman to incorporate yung mga methods na gusto mo, teaching methods na gusto mo in your homeschool, lahat ng mga activities din na gusto mo in your homeschool, pwede mo din yung i-incorporate. So, decide whether you would want it to do independently or with a homeschool provider. So, that's number 4. And so finally, tip number 5 is to plan your schedule, routine, and activities. What I love about homeschooling is the flexibility it gives us. Pero yung flexibility na to, doesn't mean that you do homeschooling randomly. It's very important na ma-establish natin yung routine ng mga anak natin at yung kanilang mga schedule, because this would help them then na maging disciplined talaga with their time at i-value nila yung other people's time. And then when it comes to planning naman your activities, list down nyo lang lahat ng mga activities na gusto nyo gawin as a family, or gusto nyo gawin individually, or gusto nyo gawin with a family or with friends. Yung pagpaplano ng mga activities na gagawin nyo, parang this would allow you to teach your children na i-respect yung each other's time. So like for example, kung meron kang gagawin na individual, parang i-respect talaga yun ng mga anak nyo that you're doing something, and kailangan hindi ka nila i-distract talaga. So yun, tuturuan nyo sila na i-respect din yung time ng ibang mga tao. So there, so those are the 5 tips or homeschooling tips for you to get started, and I hope nakatulong ito sa inyo, whether you are considering na mag-homeschool this coming school year, or if you are a homeschooling family na ng matagal na. I hope naka-inspire at nakatulong itong video na to sa inyo. So there, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that I'll see you again on my next homeschooling video or homeschooling vlog. Thank you so much. God bless everyone, and we'll see you around. Bye!